right, welcome everyone to the PCB Quality Management Conference 2022. We have Michael and Robert here with us today. My name is Beverly, and I will be filling in as a moderator for us. So we're going to take a few minutes and just let the gentlemen introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their experience, and then we're going to start asking some questions. So Michael, would you like to get us started?
Yeah, thanks. Hi everyone, greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. I hope you're all well. My name is Michael Keiro. I'm a senior consultant at Sentinel Africa Consulting Limited, and I am currently an ISO 9001 lead implementer, among other certifications in risk management and business continuity. So I started with the 9001 because of the quality management conference is our agenda for today, and it's a pleasure meeting you all. And I hope we have a very good experience going forward. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Now it's working, I think. Yes. Yeah. My name is Robert Jasper, and I'm a consultant and certified auditor of ISO 9001 and other standards. And well, I do this for several years now. I'm kind of hands-on, and I hope to be able to show you today a little bit, talk a little bit about how can you improve your quality management system for the future, and what are some new tools and methods to raise some capabilities here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert. My name is Beverly Edmonds, and I am the president of Procedure Pros. And we're focusing on ISO 9001, and actually even in aerospace, the AS 9100. Probably the past 5 years, I've gotten heavily involved in that standard and, fulfilling the role for the quality systems manager. And about 17 years experience just consistently working with quality management and working in where there's food, has been in print manufacturing, distribution, and currently in the aerospace industry working with a chemical manufacturer with the adhesives and epoxies. And yes, so I too want to make sure that companies really understand how we can use the standard, not only to just be certified, but make those improvements. Okay, so we are going to get started. So Michael, I do have a few questions for you. The first one, how can we consistently achieve quality through risk management?
Okay, that's a good one. So I like that the vision of the standard, the latest one, at least the 2015 one, included risk management as a requirement for this of the standard. So all organizations that seek to be certified against ISO 9001 have to have a management framework of sorts, because at the end of the day, the world is changing. That is the constant. In the world, the only thing that is constant is change. And including the 2020 pandemic has introduced a lot of change in the world. In fact, one of the changes is how we are meeting right now through the webinars. There have been quite a number. So since our business environments are constantly undergoing change, our business operations internally and externally, we need to ask ourselves, what are some of the needs of our customers in the future? What are our future customer needs, and how can we meet them? Or how are we preparing ourselves towards meeting the same? Because at the end of the day, we are doing this for our interested parties or our stakeholders. Key is the customer. So this is a question I usually ask different organizations when I'm doing the implementations. Are you prepared for the environment of the future? And that's one way that I think we can ride on, because looking at risk, everything is going risk-based. And my colleagues here will also add to their experience, their wealth of experience on how everything is going towards risk-based decision-making. So it's quite an interesting topic as well, risk management, and I think we can benefit extensively. There are so many endless benefits to our organizations by implementing an enterprise-wide. So we are looking at the whole organization as a whole, and by doing that, we are going to achieve additional or improvements in the quality of our outputs. And I'll invite my colleagues also to add more onto the same.
Very good. Hey, I agree, Michael, with all that you said. So, but I won't elaborate. I'll go ahead and let Robert. Robert, would you like to chime in on that? Or I have another question specifically for you. Would you like to comment anything on what Michael just spoke about?
No, it's fine. Yes, I can go on. Thank you, Beverly. So,
Okay.
so risk management, of course, this is a very important topic. I think Michael has covered that quite good, and everybody is aware of that the ISO standards also in the future will increase risk management in terms of well, in ISO we have this this context of the organization, interested parties, and their needs and expectations need to be covered, and the risk around all that. But in the future, it will be more, you know, also find entrance in these ISO standards, even if they're gonna call it differently, but like everybody probably knows, a business scorecard and so on. And risk management will be a little bit enhanced, absolutely. Yeah. What I wanted to say on top of that for the future, whether it's, you know, whether, I mean, I saw that with my, whether it's aerospace or other industries or so, and my clients, that to build up capabilities, yeah, there are three ways now and in the future, it's never going to change also, where you can build up capabilities. Yeah, this is and improve your management systems. First is, of course, that you have your corrective action system. Yeah, everybody's using kind of a kappa log or corrective action system.
Yes.
Yeah, but very often it doesn't include really advanced features like human factor, root cause analysis. Yeah, very often corrective action systems root cause analysis goes towards, yes, operators were not trained, and so we did a little bit additional training. But is this problem really going away like the standards require to organizations to do? Yeah, so the question of what is the real root cause, yeah, not stopping at contributing factors that the operator was not able to get something done according to the procedure, but really going into this. For example, aerospace industry has this 12 dirty dozen, yeah, lack of awareness, lack of attention, over capacity, so due dates, stress, and all these concepts. They need to influence basically the way how in the root cause analysis you really how you find the escape point in your own procedures. Yeah, and that's where you find then like a light switch, yeah, the solutions for corrective actions, which is multidisciplinary and which really helps the organizations then to get rid of a problem. Yeah, the second really big part is what going on is that organizations very often don't know how to measure their maturity level of the management system. Yes, you get a certificate, ISO certificate or AS9100 or IATF, whatever industry you're in, but how strong are we really in our capabilities? Yeah, and that's I mean, there are improvement capabilities. Yeah, your system learning capabilities, how good you do management review, internal audits, and then there are system performance capabilities. Yeah, how good are you in setting key performance metrics and also follow up on that. Organization and knowledge capabilities, you know, the competency level of your staff, and also process performance capabilities. Yeah, communication capabilities, process KPI measurement. So these two things, corrective action system and knowing the maturity levels from repeatable maturity to defined, capable, or efficient maturity level. To measure that, that's something what the organizations needs really to learn. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well that's very good because as we've been in this for a while, and like the question was asked, just truly the future of ISO 9001, because it seems to be, oh, I'm certified and then I'm done. We just kind of maintain it and really don't use that standard to build the business. So I agree with you, Robert. We have to, the future of that, I see we have to go beyond that and realize that ISO 9001 is just simply, it's a foundation. It's a very good start, but it's a foundation because you can use the standard to do so much more, create growth plans and strategies, and use that to um, even connect you with other standards. We had mentioned about, Michael had mentioned about, with the pandemic, and you get into the business continuity portion, how many companies were really prepared for that. So while we're in that, we have to develop those plans, but that ISO 9001, I think, is a very good foundation that leads us into other standards and also to help develop and grow the business. Okay, so I have another question. So I'm going to go back, just going to go back and forth. I'm going to go back to Michael and ask Michael another question. So, Michael, how do you build a culture of quality within your organization?
Good. So, as aptly put it, ISO 9001 is a good foundation, and it's all about the quality of our outputs, the quality of our processes. So, one thing that we need to establish from the word go, and anyone who has experience with any ISO standard knows that you need to have leadership and commitment. It's actually one of the key clauses. If you have your top management sold on the standard and the benefits that are going to accrue, then you have a very high chance of actually meeting or improving the culture. Because in my experience, implementing these ISO standards, especially for organizations that are starting off from, this is the first standard they're implementing, this is the
Right.
first management system, there
Mhm.
is usually a lot of resistance from the staff, and usually it's introducing a change in what they are used to.
Yes.
As human beings, we get used to a routine and we want to stick to it. So getting that management commitment pushing that this is good for us,
Mhm.
there is a high chance that we are going to get good participation from the teams, and having them understand what is in it, what is in for them, what do they benefit from having this
Mhm.
standard, so that they can build that culture. One of the things that we can all agree is that culture is not built overnight. That
Yes.
goes without saying. We can all agree that. And so that change in attitudes of the people, so that they really appreciate why this is important, how this is going to benefit them. We also need to invest in training our people, because we can't just bring in that management system and place it
Yes.
in their processes and they don't really know what
Mhm.
this is all about. So that's
Right.
another aspect. You need to build confidence in our people. You
Mhm.
can't expect a culture change if they don't really appreciate what exactly we are doing. And also our values, our communication, how are we communicating this to our people? The ISO 9001. And another misconception, let me go off track a bit if you allow, Beverly, is the people I've interacted with when we're implementing for the first time, they really feel that there is a lot of documentation. And
Mhm.
what they really appreciate is that we are trying to streamline. We want to
Right.
introduce consistency in the way we approach our processes.
Mhm.
And lastly, what is the motivation? Incentives for performing well when
Mhm.
we are implementing. Like Jasper was talking about metrics to monitor. So that is performance measurement. And also, who is accountable for what? If you don't have accountabilities within that management system of yours, then it might just die off a slow death and not benefit anyone.
Mhm. Yes.
So that's in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. All righty, Robert. So what methods can be used now and in the future to make a quality management system more sustainable to achieve excellence and high performance? And I think you may have touched on that a little bit before. Would you like to elaborate more on that?
Yes, thank you, Beverly. Of course, yes. So, um, as I said before, we have like three different things, two, three different things, what an organization, how you can leverage that towards excellence. Yeah. Again, the first thing I touched already a little bit on it with the corrective action system. Yeah, if you have non-conformities in your organization, yeah, you list them in your corrective action system. But if we are honest, if we look at that, most of the organizations they list their RMAs, yeah, their returns, their claims, product
Hmm.
related, yeah,
Right.
very often, but they don't really document also systemic nonconformities,
Mm.
process violations, yeah,
Okay. Yes.
shortcomings,
Hmm. Hmm.
logistics issues, and things like that. So it really organizations need to mature in a level that to use the corrective action log as a really an improvement log. There is gold inside. Yeah.
There's gold there.
I promised myself when I speak here to give hands-on advice, yeah, not just
Hmm.
that. I think we're trying that. So really, to use these things as improvement tools. Yeah, if you have a corrective action log and you add in the end you add a column for cost, and you each of the non-conformities you write what did it cost you, yeah, and how much does the corrective action solution actually bring on saving for next year. That's very
Right.
important to really to list everything. The second part is that how can you use to improve on capabilities like for your system learning capabilities, or KPIs capabilities, knowledge management, and process capabilities. How you structure your processes and can measure the process. How you can do that? Well, the first is a method. It's called maturity level assessment. That's what we do in our consulting, helping organizations to see whether they are on a, if you think about initial stage, that would be a starting point that, try to develop some processes to repeatable, yeah, is
Right.
that is somehow documented with the effort, with the goal to maybe to repeat a procedure always again, or work as a defined maturity level would be a standard process with inputs, outputs, yeah, risk
Hmm.
defined for a process owner, and things like that, and also how to measure this process. And a capable maturity standard would be basically that you really can quantitatively measure the process over time on performance. And efficient maturity level, as we call it in ISO here, would
Hmm.
be that you put that on a PDCA, on a review cycle, and improve also your capability building. Yeah. So there is a concept in ISO. It's called ISO 9004. Yeah,
Hmm. Yes.
it's a version 2018, and that's how
Hmm.
you find some guidelines in it, and that's what we do. We developed a kind of in our consulting here
Hmm.
a model how to do these assessments for organizations, that they see, yeah, like in a checklist format, which capabilities they have, which maturity level they have, and a little bit an improvement plan, what to do to raise these capabilities over time. Yeah, so you have a structured process around that with a report, and that helps really to document and to grasp all these improvement activities. Yeah.
Right. Very good. Very good. And I know I agree with you, Robert. There's just so much involved with that. And so those are some very, very good points. And, I've noticed as far as like the future, I see so many more customers are, they're demanding their suppliers. You either comply with ISO 9001 or they want you to at least be certified, and especially with the aerospace. And so I think as we're just going to see that ISO 9001 will become hopefully more valuable. People will understand and companies will understand just how useful and beneficial it is, and realize that, you know what, getting new business may be based on our company moving forward with, establishing that standard and being certified. So very, very good points, very good points. So I have a few more questions. Looks like I have a few questions here in chat. So would you say that continuous improvement, and this can be for both of you, Michael and Robert, would you say that continuous improvement goes hand in hand with risk-based management, and why? So Michael, would you like to start answering on that?
I do. So continuous improvement, you have to look at, again, our exposure to risk and also our exposure to grab on those opportunities. When you're talking about risk, you have to look at both sides of the coin, the negative effect and also the positive. So when you're looking at continuous improvement, you're trying to reduce the negative that we face as an organization, and also grab onto that opportunity that your competitors are not looking at, so that you can be the first in the market in such a product, the first in the market in whatever change in process, so that you are continuously improving on the quality. Because at times, the needs of the customers are going to experiencing that change, and you need to adapt your organization. And that's a good source of linking continuous improvement with the risk management bit of it, in short or in summary.
All right, Robert. So how would you say that continuous
I
improvement
agree
goes
with
hand in hand?
Michael, of course. The only thing what I wanted to add is this, and I really thank whoever did this question. I thank him for that, or her, because it's really an important topic. And how to do it is very often I see a disconnection. The organizations, when they have like non-conformities or changes in the risk structure, it's based. What is happening is that based on non-conformities, we all know that in management reviews now in ISO we have to do this requirement: is our risk strategy effective or not? Yeah, you have to discuss that in your management reviews, and you have to document it also, otherwise you get a non-conformity from the registration auditor. Yeah, so you have to cover this effectiveness. But what that's one point. The other point is that when you get your non-conformities in, whether it's a customer complaint, whether it's a supplier problem, or or internal process, all the time you're finding, inspection is finding something and it has to do some rework and things like that. What is happening, that these things get managed somehow, you develop some corrective actions, and so on. But the key point is, in terms of risk, that you take your non-conformities and your corrective action has to include that you go back and revise and review your risk plan, your existing risk plan, because something was not effective. You see what I mean? I'm always exaggerating a little bit, but you see what I mean? You have to go back to your risk plan, to your FMEA, to your failure mode effect analysis, to your business risk, whatever you're using in your industry, and you have to revise that because your risk plan did not mitigate this non-conformity. That's the first thing. We all know, based on the FMEA or risk assessment, you have control plans in place, right? So you need to revise also your control plan based on the FMEA. So this is very crucial, what Michael said. And on top of that, that when you have non-conformities, that you go back to your risk plans and you revise them, you make them stronger based on the non-conformities. That's where the gold is, right? And go back to your control plans. And that this cycle you need to include. You can't exclude FMEA or risk management. It's not a whole standing thing. It's all interconnected in ISO, like on the silver line, right?
Right, right. I agree because I know with my experience, just working with the individual teams, like we
Yeah.
mentioned, that education and involving the teams, even in the risk and the improvement, and that's something that I've seen that has just been lacking in so many times. We just think management deals with it; they know it all and leave it at that. But I think that
You
is
have an
just such a
example for that?
pardon.
You have an example for that, right?
Yes, I do. I have an example of that. Like you had mentioned with the corrective actions and you're dealing with the customers. Then all of a sudden you have,
Right.
you need to identify where was the breakdown? So where do you go? You go to the place that where things happen and you involve those people. And so the teams have to be involved, that communication, that education, that understanding, so that we can realize that, hey, it is a team effort. It's not just management making a decision and saying, hey, all right, this is what we're going to do. And then guess what? The teams try to implement it and realize, you know what, that's not going to work because they don't have all of the information and all of the details. So something that I see with the continuous improvement and the risk, a lot of times not involving all of the correct team members or just involving other departments as a whole in order to make a collaborative effort to make those sustainable improvements and and to continue on and really building those relationships, because when the teams feel like, hey, you're dumping this on me or you're just telling me this and you're not asking me anything, then you know what, that creates problems, that creates tension. And so from my perspective, on the quality is, managing those quality systems, just really that collaboration and the education and bringing in the teams and making sure they're involved with, whatever, with some of those decisions. Okay, let's see.
Yeah,
We
and
have a,
I, I,
oh,
I,
go ahead,
I,
Michael.
I agree.
a quick addition.
Okay.
I like what you said about the risk, and you often find the organizations have a risk department. And given people have not been taken through, they think the risk management is the responsibility of that department. Yet, it is
Right.
something that touches them directly, and they are leaving it for the risk manager. Yet, everyone, what we are preaching is everyone is a risk manager in their area of operation.
Hmm. Okay. Yes. Very good.
Right.
So, go ahead,
I
Robert.
mean, yeah. No, I agree. I mean, we all can see, right, that over the last years, I mean, the standard like the ISO, the basic standard here 9001 is the 2015 version. It's probably I think next year they're planning for the upgrade, but what everybody has to think about, and I'm sure your organizations have experienced that also registration auditors now after 5 to 7 years, they are very skillful, yeah, in this, and you can't get away anymore like in 2016 or 17 that you haven't done certain things required by the standard. Yeah, I remember 2016 or so, 15, 16. No auditor, registration auditor, yeah, has asked about context of the organization, interested parties, the risk, how the risk have been evaluated. And it was more like, do you have a list of your interested parties and things like that. Yeah. Now they really want to see whether risk has been evaluated on these interested parties. Yeah, they have not talked about that. That was really a development. And in the future, when the standard is updated, these things will go on, yeah, in the next upgrade version. So the entire risk planning needs to be enhanced here in order to keep up with the next version of the standard. I think that's a good thing to concentrate on that. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Okay, Robert, how can we practically measure our maturity level of our ISO 9001 certification other than just being satisfied? Would you mind elaborating on that?
Yeah, sure. Well, as I have mentioned before already, there's a concept in ISO, the ISO 9004, yeah, which is how can we create? It's just a guideline, Yeah, it's not something where you can certify on, but it's a guideline how to create sustainable management systems. Yeah, with certain you can with it you can it gives you a guideline how to set some maturity levels on your capabilities. Yeah, there are like 4 groups. It's like improvement capabilities, system, yeah, improvement capabilities. You can think about your system learning capabilities, or you know, how innovative is your systemic approach. Yeah, if you're still talking and thinking in department ways, you know, where there's very often a silo management going on. Yeah, of course, our department, you have to take care of your department, but you don't care so much about other departments. If your process approach is not horizontally aligned already, that you still think on department so much. And sometimes you have even registration auditors who are still okay with the process approach as a procedure, while the process approach meanwhile really needs that you show for each process you have what are the inputs, the outputs, right? These SIPOCs. Yeah, you probably have heard about it. Everybody has heard about it. And the activities of each process. Who is the process owner of each process? Which procedures are included in each process or work instructions? How do you measure this process? Yeah, with smart KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. Smart means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to the business and with the timely aspects. Yeah, it's not cutting it anymore now and in the future versions of ISO just to say we want to be the best organization in our industry. You really have to assign key performance indicators on each process. Yeah, not only 2-3 goals like aerospace requires you to measure on-time delivery and quality of product, but each process needs to have a performance metrics. Yeah, so these system capabilities, process improvement capabilities. So the next group is, yeah, like we said, it's performance capabilities. Yeah, how do you measure that? Yeah, how often? You measure it once a year when you do management review, or you measure it half yearly, quarterly, monthly trend? And the auditors, they're asking you. You have I think everybody has seen it during his last audit. They're asking for how do you measure your trends, yeah, in your process capabilities. So these kind of things. The next is knowledge capabilities. Yeah, which competency levels do we have? Do we measure skill matrix, yeah, of our staff? How do the entire resource management here with HR? Do we have training plans? Do we have electronic setup of our training management or not? You know, these kind of things. And process performance capabilities, that's the 4th section. How we communicate that, like Beverly said, you know, when you do meetings, are you using really multidisciplinary approach? Is there everybody who is supposed to be there from the managers in the meetings? And because otherwise it's really hard to get things improved if you know, with small groups, right? This multidisciplinary approach is very important. So these 4 capabilities, that's what the ISO 9004 is covering. And the maturity levels is, yeah, like 5 stages from initial to repeatable processes to defined, capable, and efficient. And yeah, what we do, if somebody of the listeners here wants to wants to get more about this process, about to assess your organization with these maturity levels, just shoot me an email. I probably maybe can put the email address in the chat here. And just send me whoever wants. I send some free materials, no, not a problem. And to get to know this process, that's how you do it, and that's really the future, you know.
Yes, right. Okay, because I know, as I mentioned, with the in the aerospace with the AS 9100, and just to see that 9001 again being that foundation. But of course, there's just so much more involved when you talk about aerospace. I recall when I heard the word FOD, FOD. foreign object debris and damage. And I thought,
Yeah.
oh my, what in the world are they talking about? What is this? Because my background up until 5 years ago, I had nothing to do with aerospace. And I'm telling you, just to develop that process and just realize again, ISO 9001 is a foundation, and there's just so much more that we can do beyond that. And within the aerospace world, I'm telling you, the requirements are a lot higher, a lot more risk. And I've actually, you start utilizing some of the International Aerospace Quality Group tools. So we've implemented. Why create stuff? Why recreate it? We're in aerospace. We have an organization that has a lot of the forms that are already in place, and those root cause non-conformance codes, all of that. So you know, just as we all go through this, look at ways that you can implement what's already there into your current system. Don't try to recreate so much, but look at what is available, and that has just been a lifesaver for us to really reduce the paperwork, the documentation. Hey, we utilize a lot of those tools with internal audits, performance effectiveness assessment reviews, just all of that. So, I would say the future of ISO 9001 really, and it's a lot of this is up to us as the consultants and the quality managers to really drive home how it's just the foundation and take our organizations a lot further, whether it's lean and other ISO standards. So there's a lot to that, and oh my, this is really good. I can't wait to go back and listen to all this again. I appreciate all of your input and your knowledge and expertise. This is really good. This is really good. Okay, so I have a few more questions. Let's see here. I'm going to go right back here to Michael. The integration of ISO 9001 within other management systems. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So you've mentioned that ISO 9001 usually forms the foundation. It's usually a good place to start for organizations to implement management systems. And a lot of organizations struggle with implementing an additional management system on top of 9001. So you'll find that some of the trending standards are information security management system, business continuity management system, especially after the pandemic. That has really been an interesting topic. And the key or the short answer for the audience is that as much as possible, where there is alignment, where we can combine some of the activities. Because you can imagine a scenario where we have 3 management systems and we have 3 audits in the year. That will really fatigue our people. I can't sit down and be audited thrice, and the auditors are more or less asking me similar questions. Going to 3 different workshops or seminars discussing some of the similarity, some of the issues are actually very similar. So as much as possible, the advice from this panel is if you can combine these activities where they are similar. If you're doing an audit, try as much as possible to schedule those audits at the same time where you are getting all the information from the auditee at once, and that reduces the fatigue. And it also improves on our efficiency because you're looking at the organization in a 360-degree view. You'll be able to look at the issues related to quality, the issues related to information security, for example, and also issues related to business continuity and any other management systems. I like to reference those two because those are the areas I'm also competent in. And I know you guys have also additions to this, which I welcome.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for that input. All right, Robert, how can an organization effectively, with internal audits, measure its quality management system performance with the goal to improve the QMS towards excellence? That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. It is, of course. I mean, we all know that the ISO standard, and then also if your industry, whether it's aerospace or automotive or any other industry, it's always the basis is always the ISO 9001, the class 9 for 92 for internal auditing. It's always twofold. Actually, it's 3 things, I would say, right? That first of all, you have to do yeah, to audit your processes down to the procedure, work instruction, and each form which is referenced in it. Are you doing it right? That's the first thing. I mean, if you're not doing what your procedure says, you cannot show the records. You're not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not even will pass your surveillance or certification audits. But you're also going risky in terms of having not control in place. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have to audit. Full system, yeah. The clause 4 to clause 10 are always the auditable clauses, so you have to go along clause 4 to clause 10. Are we covering each clause? How do we cover it? Yeah, you have two columns. Yeah, the standard clauses, and the other column is where do we cover that, right? So you have two audit reports, and then for improvement for the future, I highly recommend, like Beverly said already, things like for example, the aerospace industry, IAQG, they have these 6M safety audits, starting from safety walks to impact from the 6Ms, like right, what is man, machine, mother nature, measurement, and so these things. There's really good concepts, and one thing, if you these specialized standards like the AS9100 for aerospace or others has this requirement of human factors. So that's another thing what we do meanwhile a lot with organizations, with clients, really to help them to grasp these human factors better. Yeah, then the awareness has not to be so much from the operator level, but from the manager level, to understand that there's human factors. What is a human factor? And these 12, 30 dozens, yeah, like lack of awareness, lack of attention, overwork, stress, due dates, and so on, missing due dates, stress, and so on. So there are these 12, 30 dozens, yeah. And what is a concept for each of these 12, 30 dozens? Yeah, how to integrate that in your ISO management system. That's going to be a big part also in the future standards, and I highly recommend every organization to concentrate on that, yeah, to implement that. And of course, the last component, which is really it's gonna see that we're gonna see that a lot in the upcoming version of ISO, is information security, cyber security, and so that's gonna play a bigger role. Yeah, so it's better to start there with a good checklist or an assessment on that, and really to cover these features, because that's going to be the new thing which really will influence the next version also. Yeah.
Right, because I know with the with the ISO 9001 standard, there's just so much discipline that has to come with maintain, to be certified and to maintain it, and then try to improve. And so many times organizations, they kind of get stuck in that maintenance mode, and so we have to kind of push a little bit. Hey, we got to get out of just maintaining. We're back and forth a little bit. We have a problem. It's good. Then it recurs again. And so, and again, I think us as consultants and the quality managers, a lot of this is going to be on us to really push and just really educate the managers, the leaders, and the individual teams, and do more of the employee involvement in developing those relationships, even with our suppliers. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something, Robert?
Yeah, I agree. I think I forgot to close out on this with the internal audit. So
okay.
If I may do this for a second. So
okay.
How can you use the internal audits here for performance improvement? So here's we all know that we have to measure also our capabilities for management review and internal audits, how effective that is, because these are also processes, right? So how can you set a KPI on your internal audit process and management review process, and how can you use it for performance improvement. So let me tell you how you do that. Or let's say how I do that. I do that in saying, because every CEO wants to, says, show me the money. Why? What's in it for me on the quality management system? Yeah. So how you can do it with the internal audits is that you say, per year we wanna set ourselves an own objective in terms of we have to achieve minimum. It's just an example. 5 big opportunities for improvement out of the internal audits. That is our KPI. That is our measurement. And we're not doing internal audits, because internal audits is not only there for compliance. Are we doing what we're saying? Yeah, are we filling out the forms what we're saying in our procedures? But are we using internal audits for finding opportunities for improvement? Yeah, that's where the value comes in. Yeah, when I'm doing auditing, I always tell the people, hey, I'm not auditing you. I'm auditing your process. Please help me to improve this process. Let's see whether you're compliant, and give me some ideas, because you know best your process. The operators, they who work with the process, they know the process very good. And then I'm going to note down this opportunity for improvement. So we need to find a certain amount of improvement opportunities. Management review the same. Yeah, you can say, because you have the requirement of setting, discussing certain inputs, but also you have to do a requirement for setting, creating some action plans, output. Yeah, so you can say, for the next management review, our KPI is that minimum 50% of our action items from last year we want to have closed out.
Right, definitely. Yes.
That's how you use internal audits for your performance improvement.
Good. Okay. Well, we have a few more questions here from the audience, so let's kind of roll through this real quick. The next question: what analytical tool can be used to measure quality performances? Michael, would you like to start on that with an answer on that?
I think for this, it will depend on the industry, because in your aerospace industry, I'm sure you have very specific tools to measure performance of quality. The most common or the basic one is customer satisfaction surveys. That is what I can give as a basic, because who is the customer? What is their need and expectation? Have we met that customer's needs and expectations? And then getting feedback will tell us whether we are meeting our. Of course, we'll need to have a benchmark or a baseline that we are measuring ourselves against, and that will help us to actually improve, because what we're trying to do is meet and exceed our customers' expectations. And that's why we are talking about continuous improvement a lot, and the future of ISO 9001.
Okay, so what about a tool, I guess Microsoft Power BI, as far as that being used maybe for quality KPIs? Is that something you can? Okay, either one. No, either.
Yeah, it just comes in my mind. Yeah, I mean, we all know there are like quality improvement tools like Minitab, and I don't, all these analysis tools, which Six Sigma and so on. These are all very good, but sometimes it's information overload, and you analyze it. You do this so good, these tools, that you go on to analyze, but you're not actually improving the management system.
Have a lot
really
of data.
Yeah, it's a lot of data and it's so smart. It's really great. Yeah, and there are, like, you can do it with Excel spreadsheets, but there's a lot of electronic tools out there, of course, and they are very good, but they keep you analyzing, but how about improvement? You have to turn it into improvement projects, and that's where it has to cut it to the chase, right? Also, like Michael said here, and I can just summarize again, with this, that to improve these capabilities with these maturity levels, that gives you an action where you have something documented, and I can just recommend that look in the ISO 9004, this guideline
Okay.
from ISO.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a few more questions here, so I want to make sure we get some answers here for all of our audience. All right. So how can we automate current manual quality management system with respect to quality 4.0?
Yeah. Michael, you?
There are many tools available to automate. A lot of people are moving away from manual documents because you need access to the information in real time.
Yes,
so there are many tools available by many vendors, and it's actually another improvement point that I encourage a lot, because management don't need to wait for anyone to come and present reports. They just log into the tool and they get to see the outputs of the audit, any non-conformities, the tracking of continuous improvement logs, and so on. So in automation, highly recommended.
Right. I agree, and especially quality management system software where you can control your documents. You have, like Robert was talking about, your CAPAs, your non-conformances, your audit reports, complaints, all of that. And having a quality management system software, I think, is critical to all of that because it keeps from retyping, and then you have errors, and Excel is just used for everything. So the more automation and you type it once and then you can connect whatever you need to connect, whether it's complaint to an NCR to an audit report, just whatever. So I definitely would recommend, with the ISO 9001 to, really do some investigation and look at some good quality management system software to help streamline a lot of that information. Again, make it real time. You run your reports and then all of your performance and everything is visible, is right there. So Robert, you go ahead. You want to chime in?
Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah, and especially for class 4, I think was the question also relating to, which is like, management of these interested parties and context of the organization. Yeah. And also for the processes, I mean, this electronic tracking or very good, the process overview, SIPOC, yeah, this charts, that this is very good. And I mean, the main thing when we talk, I mean, clause 4, there are several things, the context of the organization, interested parties management, and also the process structure, so we mentioned the electronic system setup, you can put your whole manual in the electronic system. But what I wanted to mention is that, this interested parties management and context of the organization, it doesn't matter what you do, but in the future it will be more and more, and it's already there, that the auditors, you should look for not only listing your interested parties and what are their needs and expectations and so on, or what are the contextual matrix of your organization in terms of a small business plan or something. But what is important is, and you find that also in the ISO standard, that what is the implication to my quality management system? I give an example. For example, customer needs is for on-time delivery, and the expectation is 100% all year long, right? So what the companies are forgetting is that you have to put another column on in the end and say, so what's the implication to my quality management system from that need and expectation? Yeah, especially when some companies they do SWOT analysis, for this strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. They do it very well for each of these 4 components. They put a list up like 10, 15 things for each of these strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But what they forget is that they're not there yet. They have to also say what's the implication because of that in my management system.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. We have a few more questions. How can we engender full engagement, buy-in, and ownership of the QMS by all employees in the organization? Michael?
I think getting them involved, communication again is key. because they need to understand what this is and how it affects their day-to-day operations. What's in it for them, how this is going to benefit them. There are so many ways. If it's part of their organizational KPIs, if that can be cascaded, the QMS KPIs cascading down to the individual KPIs will also place that accountability for the management system on the employees. And in my opinion, it will get things moving and people talking, and improvement will result.
Okay, Robert.
Right. Yeah, I want to extend that a little bit. Michael is right. So what I very often see is that, you know, when I do this, sometimes it's annual awareness training of the staff of the quality management system. It's not very often more than that. And it even doesn't include, but it should, talking about what are the objectives this year, the objectives, the KPIs for each process. Yeah, the staff should be aware of that. What we're trying to achieve. Yeah, these KPIs, these metrics, they should be like stretch goals from last year. Yeah, last year we had 94.96% on-time delivery. Yeah, and of course there was COVID, and to reach 100% is hard anyway. But this year we're aiming for 98%, and that's our action plan here. The people need to know that what you're aiming for. Yeah, and also ISO standard requires to tell the staff what does it mean for them, and that they are really a big contributing factor. Yeah? If they get that during the internal audits, that they are basically, if it's very often, right, we all know that the procedures are very often not followed, that they say, we're not using this procedure. We have a way better way to do it, but nobody has ever changed the procedure. So
exactly.
there must be an interaction, right? Beverly, you want to elaborate on that?
Okay, well, you know, we have several more questions in chat, so let's,
okay,
I want to, let's kind of go roll through here. How will PECB be able to reach some organizations that are yet committed in achieving quality management? Wow. That's a very
I
good
think
question.
PECB has a lot of materials, and then if you're subscribed to PECB, they update you to any standard or training or course. It's just a great resource, and yeah,
right.
And they do have a great platform for asking those questions, and they respond actually in good time.
Right. And then just on the website, there's just so much information, you know, regarding PCB, between the newsletters and just a lot of that with the, you know, the plans that PCB has. Very good organization with the training, just all of that. So I would recommend, you know, initially just going to the PECB site website, and you know, just kind of look at some of those, you know, just the various things that PCB has to offer.
Right, because ISO is just we have to, for the now and for the future, ISO is just a foundation. You really have to work on it to make it strong and good, and then it pays off. Yeah. But if a CEO asks me, why should we use all that? I say it's just of value when you really use it good, and that's why PCB is a great resource. Yeah.
Right, I agree. All right, so do you need to update the risk register with nonconformities when nonconformities are identified, and then to and give your reasons why that should be done?
Yeah, I think we had that already, Michael, right? With alignment of the risk management with the non-conformities. I think we talked about that. If you have non-conformities, you need to go back to revising your risk plan and your control plan. Otherwise, it's disconnected, everything, right?
Michael, you wanted to comment?
Oh, that's it.
Okay. All right, so very often I found that the emphasis in management systems is on risk with very minimal attention to the tremendous opportunities that implementing ISO 9001 brings to organizations. How can this orientation be changed in order to leverage the real value of the system?
So there is a misconception when you talk about risk, you're only looking at the negative. Yet, in reference to ISO 31000, the risk management guidelines, risk, you are looking at both the positive and the negative that the uncertainty brings. So it's a misconception that we've been brought up thinking about risk as negative, yet we should also be thinking about positive risks. In other words, the opportunities that we need to grab onto to maximize on them and yield results. I think it's just a misconception.
Okay, let's see. Oh my, we have several questions here. All right, let's see here. What's the next? All right, here, let me, we have a, all right. So what changes to the ISO 9001:2015 QMS standard do you envision and foresee in the future in order to improve business processes? So you have specific changes that you want to identify that you can see them that may be added to improve business processes?
Right. And also information security and cyber security aspects will have to be covered in the future. It's not going to be that the working groups implement full ISO 27 series into the 9001 standard, but there are going to be some aspects of that definitely, and also the entire business scorecarding, this context of the organization and interested parties needs. This will be a little bit elaborated more. And what I just wanted to add to the last question here with this risk, we have to be, all ISO standards follow this, that they have two risks to cover, mostly, which is the one in clause 6, the risk assessment, which is the mostly, you could call it business risks, ecological risk, logistics risks, whatever you have, location risks, are in the hurricane alley or not, and things like that. And then there is the operational risk management in clause 8, which talks about your process risks, your operational process risks, you do FMEA or something. So you have basically two things to cover here. So in risk management, and then that's going to be also stronger in the new standard. Unfortunately, it's hard to get out of the working group what they're really working on right now.
What they're working on right now, yes.
But I know several members of the working group, and you have to imagine that the working group members, these are people and experts like us, and they work for basically free. They go to the meetings, they fly to the meetings all over the world for free. Yes, can they then maybe market their knowledge afterwards? Yes, but still, it's not such an easy process. But and ISO needs to always be generic in wording, that it can be used from many different industries. So they're gonna call. They're not going to call it business scorecard, for example, to track business KPIs and all that. They're going to call it differently somehow. And they're not going to call it ISO 27 series for information security, cyber security. They're going to, so this mostly, other than that, it's not going to be a huge change. The standard, just more detailed.
Okay.
Sections 4 to 10, right?
Right. Okay. And I just want to point out too, and just remind our audience that the PECB ISO 9001 training course has been updated. All right. So make sure you go to PECB and look at that updated version of the ISO 9001 standard. Okay. Let's see here. So we have a few more questions here. I think we're just going to keep rolling until I'm told to stop.
Sure.
All right, so we talked about the changes. So how do we realistically get management to be fully informed in the quality management system? All they need is a certification, but not the compliance. Some leaders may feel that way. Hey, you
Right.
just give us the certification, or whatever. So, but just
Yeah.
realistically, what are those things we can do specifically to really get management to make sure that they truly are informed about the management system? So, Michael, you want to start? You want to comment on
Yeah,
that first?
I think they should be made aware of their responsibility, and they should also own some of those KPIs so that when the management system is not performing, the questions are asked of management. Why is the management system not performing? Why are you not paying the right attention to this thing?
Okay.
Because ultimately it's their responsibility.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. And if I may add, so of course, we consult organizations. It's how you get the buy-in and so on. There are certain tactics. I don't want to call it tactics, but what you can
Tactics.
use. Yeah, I mean, if you're a quality manager and you develop some KPIs for your processes,
Hmm.
it's there's a buy-in very often when you present that. Even you gotta present it something, yeah, to top management. Yeah, bring up a
Hmm.
metrics table of your processes and how you think they could be measured. Rest for sure that, and you show this to top management in a meeting, they say, oh, wait a minute, no, this should be not 95. I want to have that 100%. Or, that's how you get the buy-in, right? But you get, my best advice is to the quality managers is prepare something. Don't ask, oh, you gotta give me direction from top.
Hmm.
Prepare something good and show it to the top management. Is
Right.
this okay? Can we
Hmm.
use that? Yeah, that's my best advice here.
Right.
They
Because
don't have
Hey,
time
and I
usually
know
to
for me,
develop that. They need to see something on it.
okay, Michael, you go ahead.
management responds to figures and results. If they show this is how we are performing, they usually sit back and ask, why are we performing this way?
Hmm.
And then they are told they are not really supporting the management system. Then they will ask out, what support do you need? And then they will give it to you. And
Hmm.
then,
Yeah.
as Jasper said, there are many tactics towards getting these guys involved.
Mhm. Right. Because I know for me personally, I've done so much, it's almost hand holding and really one on one with leadership, the CEOs and the presidents. One on one. I'm talking just us in a conference room, going through discussing things because so many times they're not involved because they truly just really don't understand. They can't grasp it. What is this stuff? This standardization stuff. Like you alluded to, Robert, earlier, the money. All I want to know is, how is this affecting the money? And I would say, like nonconformities, anything that's going to cost the money, where it talks about scrap your rejections, get with the
Right.
accounting
Good
department
point.
and
Yeah.
say, hey, listen, you know what? This is what's been happening. And so using the standard and really using it the way it should be, it can help us avoid a lot of these mistakes so that, it won't be so costly. So, get with your
Good
accounting
point.
department, set up your reason codes and accounts, to be able to track nonconformities, your corrective actions, your complaints, the RMAs, like Robert was talking about earlier. And the more that you can show some numbers, oh my, and it's real stuff, then that kind of gets their attention. And then you realize, oh yes, I can see how this can affect us financially. Oh, yeah, Beverly, let's go ahead and I think we
Yeah,
need to pay more
exactly.
attention to this.
Good point.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. So just, those are just some few tips that have kind of worked for me. It took a while to get there, but they end up working to get that buy-in that I needed. So it's like, hey, we're good now. We are good to go. All right.
Yeah.
So now let's see. Let's talk about let's see, where did I leave off? Oh, lean. How to get certified to lean practices is a question. Now I know for me, go ahead, Michael or Jess, Robert, you want to talk about how to get certified to lean practices? Maybe you want to chime in.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
Michael, it's okay. But I mean, right? We have these, well, everybody knows here, these, these levels of, yellow belt, green belt, up to
Mhm.
black belt. Yeah. I
Mhm.
highly recommend every organization. Don't stop with just being compliant to
Right.
clause 4 to clause 10 of the standard.
Mhm.
Get people really trained on lean and quality improvement because
Mhm.
I give you an example. If you do non-conformity management, everybody knows how to fill out the non-conformity report, and then you let the root cause analysis do a person who don't know about continuous improvement and root cause analysis and cause and effect and 5 why analysis. It's not going to be good. It's not going to bring your company any good. It's just and then everybody's overwhelmed because you do a root cause analysis on every small problem, and not only when customer satisfaction, customer complaints, or when it's higher than 1K, or when there is against form, fit, and function of the product. Yeah, then you do a root cause analysis, but not always. And so it's very unproductive what's going on. You really need to get some people in your organization, at least one trained on quality improvement, that you really can use ISO quality management systems good. Yeah, and then PCB is the green belt, has a black belt, has all kind of improvement.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. PCB does have a lot of training and tools for, as far as Six Sigma and all of that. So yeah, go onto their website and just check out everything that's available. And there probably may be some classes. Some of the trainers, we have several trainers in PCB that can, you can partake in a class, and working virtually right now is working out really well. So yes, look at that, because that improvement piece and the waste and all of that, there's a lot of waste in quality management. So yes, that was a good question about the lean principles and lean practices. Okay, let's see here. When the organization is certified to other standards, for example, International Financial Reporting Standards, PCI DSS, or ISO 27001, that can sometimes potentially conflict with the ISO 9001 standard requirements, like the control of documents. So how does the quality manager manage this going forward? Ooh.
Yeah. Should I?
How do we deal with that conflict?
I had that recently. Michael, you want, or should I?
Just go ahead.
Okay. Well, the entire 9001 concept is now built on this Annex SL. Yeah? This every standard has clause 4 to clause 10. So first of all, they're pretty easy to integrate. Yeah. When the only, I think, 13485 medical device, they're still fighting with the FDA, but it's relatively easy to implement, because every standard has clause 4 to clause 10. But and whether it also doesn't matter whether you write up to two different manuals, one for quality management and one for security, the information security, like you mentioned, the 27 series, or for any other international standard, another manual, or you integrate them into one manual. You list the two policies. 9001 policy, below that you list the 27 series policy, and then the objectives for 9001, the objectives for 27 series. I'm not sure where the conflict comes from in this participant here's question, because it needs to be aligned. Yeah, if your information security, if your quality management system says this and this in document management is handled over this electronic platform with some access rights for certain people only, for editing rights for documents to prevent obsolete use of documents. There is no difficulty to say it has to be also within information security requirements internally. Yeah, it needs to be harmonized. So the quality manager and the information security manager have to sit together, and all procedures need to be a little bit made applicable. Yeah, I'm not sure where this conflict is actually coming. There shouldn't be a conflict. Yeah.
And again, with the quality management system software, that software can be used even to house, some other standard documentation. So I think, again, much as you can unify and have central things and things that are easily connected, so you're not having to just update multiple systems and all of that, and just come up with an organized system. come up with an organized system to keep track of all of that, and software definitely helps. Manually is,
Right.
oh my.
Exactly. And
So,
the internal audits can be also combined internally.
Right.
You just structure out your annual internal audit plan. You do some quality management, then another month you do some information security, another month you
Right.
do environmental, 14,000 orders. So that's how you get internal integrated management system audited over the year.
Okay, Michael.
Right.
yeah, to summarize, the generic nature in which ISO standards are developed, the conflict will probably come from within the organization, where the way we manage different management systems will conflict with each other. So I don't expect the conflicts to be from the different standards, because they usually are open-ended, to be adopted by different organizations in different industries. And to conclude, I'm being reminded by organizers that we ran out of time. We would like to bring this to a close, and any further questions can still be directed at the individual panelists, and we will be free and happy to engage with the participants further through email and the other channels that are available for response and feedback.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank PCB so much, and I'll let Beverly give our closing remarks.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. This has just been so enlightening. Thank you so much for your expertise and sharing so much with us. And thank you for the audience, for everyone that participated. And thank you for PCB